All right, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here with Josh and AJ again, and very excited about this episode. They took time out of their day to kind of bless me with some knowledge, how they grew up.
Bless or curse, I'm not sure.
Yeah, not too much pressure yet. But they're gonna kind of go through their life story, what they're kind of doing now, and not many people know this about Josh and AJ, but before my first son was born, we had a conversation at a restaurant, and they just kind of gave me some insightful knowledge on finances, and I'm forever in debt to them. Truly admire and look up to the things that they've built, and they've really instilled a lot in me. So,
but you know what? I'm gonna cut you off. I couldn't be more proud to see the growth since that, because I remember that date clearly, and I couldn't be more proud of what you've accomplished.
I appreciate it.
Because I mean, to give the knowledge is one thing, you know, or lack thereof, I should say. But to have that conversation is one thing. To actually be able to go out and put it to use and exercise it is really like that's powerful.
Anyone can read the recipe, not everyone can bake the cake.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Well, hey, so I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves. Just go through what your name is, where you grew up. I mean, you guys grew up in the same house, right? But then the first question I want you to ask, just in case your mom might be watching, is your argument to why you are the best son.
Oh, look at I'm cute and cuddly.
There is more of you to love.
There's more of you to love, man.
Oh man. So name, how old?
So I'm Josh. 33 years old. Initially born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, up in Canada. And we've always split our time back and forth between there and down here in Miami. And grew up down here, went to school down here, all that sort of stuff. And now we run a real estate company that's based out of Nova Scotia. And we took that over from my father back in 2011. And AJ and I have been working on it daily ever since.
Gotcha. Okay. And you're cute and cuddly.
And I'm cute and cuddly.
That's
why my mom loves me.
That's your stick. Okay.
So as Josh alluded to, I'm AJ. I'm 30 years old, although I look like the older brother. Story much the same as Josh's. And honestly, today I'm not sure my mom actually loves me. So. No, she does. She does. She might. But man. No, Josh is more lovable. He wins.
Got it. Okay. So one brother conceded. I get it. Okay.
That makes life easy, doesn't it?
So yeah, man. So
I don't quit. I'm just realistic.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a little insight, right? So you own a real estate company. Could you possibly tell me how many doors you guys own?
It's about 350.
350 doors. Jesus Christ. I need a place to live.
And you know what's crazy? I talk to people that are up over 1,000, and they say, and I sit there and tell the exact same response. It's mind-boggling.
So how much have you guys acquired doors since your father passed?
Yeah. So he passed away in 2011. At the time, we were a hair under 200. And Josh and I sort of sat down and we discussed, how do we want to move forward? How do we want to grow this company? Mm-hmm. And what we decided was slow and steady growth. We had a really good foundation. The number one reason why a lot of second generation businesses fail, and a lot of first generation businesses fail for that reason, is they expand too rapidly. They'll have something good. They'll open one restaurant. It's a great location. So they immediately jump into their second location, third location, fourth location in the first year. And now they're done. They expand too rapidly. They can't keep up with their expansion, and they end up losing it all.
The number one thing that we've sort of woken up since day one, since my father passed, was don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. It's really simple.
It's rule number one.
It's rule number one. Don't fuck it up. So we, like AJ said, we started off with an amazing base.
Did he write that in the will?
He didn't write that. He didn't write that in the will, but he told me a couple times.
It's like, motherfucker, when I leave, don't fuck it up.
His actual, I'll share you, his exact words were to me. He goes, I've done all right for myself. He goes, don't ever feel the pressure to try to match it.
Okay.
You know, so it was kind of a nice way to put it, to not leave pressure on us.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, like trying to follow in his footsteps puts a little bit of pressure on you just naturally.
Actually,
Yeah.
when he passed, I was 18, Josh was 21. So when you're that age, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So we sort of just
there was a lot that we didn't know.
and there still is.
There still
Yeah.
is.
But we jumped right into this. We went from the guys who paint the hallways to the guys running the company overnight.
Wow.
And
Because you guys helped in the business as you were younger.
Yeah. I mean, my dad always had a very open door. He always let us know what was going on in a broad sense.
But
Gotcha.
we would go up there in the summer times, and we would have summer jobs working for him. You know, cleaning hallways, cleaning out apartments that were dirty or something, painting apartments, painting hallways, just anything. I remember putting a lawnmower in the back of the trunk of the car and going around and cutting grass everywhere. You know.
Yeah.
So it's just everything that can be done in a property. We were doing it at that point.
My boo just got here.
My
boo just got here.
Turns out he's not divorced.
She thinks I'm cute and cuddly also.
So and I think I asked you guys about this at Mike's wedding, but so okay, I know that when your father passed, you guys said you kind of got opened into, you know, learning things or knowing things. Did you know the I guess the depth of your financial situation growing up?
So growing up, I always knew that we were comfortable.
Okay.
I never saw a situation where my parents were arguing about money or anything like that. So I always
which I actually think is a huge
Oh
thing,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like,
it's the number one cause of divorce.
I never heard one thing that I think is actually really important is that I never heard my dad say we can't afford that, you know? Whether it was something that truly was like outrageous. Like if you're driving down the beach or something, you see this massive yacht, or you see a private jet or something like that, you know? Like those are all huge ticket items.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't have the money for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I never heard my dad say we don't have the money for that, or we can't afford something like that. It was just, if you know what, if that's what's cool to you, you can do that. You can go out there and you can get that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of risk, but you can do it.
You can do it.
We were always brought up with the idea of risk versus reward.
Yeah.
And it comes into effect in every single thing you do. You can have that reward, but there is risk that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a little bit of risk. There's a little bit of reward. There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of reward. But you have to be willing to accept that risk.
So a lot of people, you know, obviously to build a fortune, it's sometimes they say, okay, I had to take time away from my family. Did you guys sense that from your father or?
So my dad always said, we missed the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
That was his go-to.
That's a great way to put it.
I love that saying. I love that saying.
Oh my God.
So,
in my life growing up, I never saw my dad work. I saw him stress. I saw him work at times, but I never saw him work super hard to the point where he was gone. He was gone morning, noon, and night, and just wasn't there for us. My dad was always there when we got home from school. My dad was always there in the morning when we left to school. He was always around for us.
Yeah.
His sort of mentality was work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
You know.
By the time we came along,
right?
yes.
But that was by the time we got there. Before we got there, I imagine that his sort of first few years was probably even a lot more stressful and a lot harder than when we took over the company, you know, because he didn't have the money to, if somebody missed a rent payment, he didn't have the money to be able to carry that, you know?
Jesus.
So he literally had to do whatever he had to do
to make it happen.
To make that happen, you know?
That like reminds me of early on when I was kind of just getting it out of the gutter with Jen, and like I was going to my third job, and it was like, I remember one night my son cried and he said, "I don't want you to leave, Daddy." And it was like, that shit hit my heart.
Yeah.
the whole reason behind why you do that now and leave when they're that young is so that you never have to do that again.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
And you put in the time early. You do the things that most won't right now, so you can live the way that most can't.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and that my dad taught me at an early age again was sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know, everything you do in life, there's
a cost.
There's a cost to everything.
There's a cost.
You know, there's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you do today to help you out tomorrow is probably a good trade-off, you know?
Yeah. Obviously your dad, I'm sure he's told you stories about how he started and whatnot. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it started with flipping cars.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he had his bar mitzvah money.
Jesus.
And he was 15, so he didn't even have a driver's license yet. He went out and, I don't remember the exact number, but he bought a car for, say, $100.
Yeah, I want to say it was like
50
50 or $100 or something. Yeah.
It was a beater though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Holes in the floor.
He was
Fred
going full Freddy.
This wasn't even the $900 car that little Brian thought.
Hey, it was 9. Brian's car is gonna be 9X.
Nice roll windows.
So he filled the floors with putty and cleaned it up the best he could. And if he bought it for $100, he sold it for $150.
Wow.
And he said, okay, and kept doing that. And at one point, he actually had so many junk cars in his backyard that his neighbor started calling the cops because he had all these junk cars. The place looked like a junkyard.
Wow.
So he made enough money just buying and selling cars out of his backyard. When he was 21, he put a down payment on a duplex.
It was a duplex,
I guess
but it had a bunch of bedrooms in it. So
he turned it into as many bedrooms as he could, rented it by the room and by the week. So what he realized was there's 52 people assume there's 4 weeks in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 12 months in a year, 4 weeks in a month. That's only 48 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's 52 weeks in a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you take 52 and divide it by 4, it's actually 13. So you get 13 months a year of rent.
So he'd
versus 12.
do it by the week for the extra month of rent.
So if you rent it by the week, you actually collect 13 months of rent, not 12.
Damn. Dude,
so
it's something so simple too, just like that, man. It's like, and that's how a lot of these things that you start thinking of.
I'll take it one step further, just to sort of tie it in, which I found very very entertaining when we started running the business, and AJ and I were sitting at home one day and we're looking through all the rents and all the rent rolls, and AJ picks up and says, like, all these rents end in 5. $9.95, $9.85, $5.85, whatever it was at the time, you know, and they all end in 5. Something so stupid as why 5 instead of 9? You know, it's $4, but it was at the time it was just 200 units, and that $4 on 200 across 200 units, nobody's gonna sit there and say, well, I'm not gonna pay the extra $4.
Yeah,
you know, but it worked out to what, 10 grand a year?
it's about 10 grand a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just real easy, you know, and obviously like raised rent's a little bit more than $4. Yeah.
Oh my
god! But that was just a small
tweak though.
He picked up on, you know.
If the apartment is $12.95 or if it's $12.99, no one's gonna not rent it for the extra $4.
Yeah.
But you apply that principle to 200 units, and now it's an extra 10 grand a year.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
So that was, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But that was tying that together. But continue on with the duplex story.
Yes. So he rented it by the week.
Mm-hmm.
And about a year later, he got an offer for double what he had paid for. So he sold it. And at the time, he was 22 years old. He had more money than he had ever seen in his life. Mm-hmm. And there was a new Corvette out. And he walked over to the
This would have been like 72 or 73.
Yeah, 72, 73. And he was staring at this Corvette, 22 years old. He's got money in his pocket now. He's never had that before in his life. And he wants this Corvette more than anything. And he's drooling over it. He goes, you know what? I could buy this Corvette right now. Or I can go out and buy another property.
Mm.
And that'll allow me to have many Corvettes in the future.
And that single decision is
Changes the trajectory of his life.
the reason
Absolutely.
we're sitting here today.
Absolutely.
That single decision is the reason we're sitting here today.
So he went out and he bought a triplex that we still own to this day.
Get the hell out
We
of
still
here.
That
own
was so that first property, that was the last thing he sold.
Wow.
So we still have that triplex to this day, and he continued to grow from there. And by about 1995, he had put together about 200 units. At that point, Josh and I were born. We were both young, and he said, "I'm comfortable where I am. This is I've reached my goal. I just want to spend time with my family."
Wow.
And the rest was history.
Damn, man. That's crazy. So, fuck, man. So, because he basically got it out of the mud for you guys. And honestly, there's a lot of people that talk about there's a negative connotation I guess against people that are born with money, right?
Yeah.
And
To an extent, I've got the same thing against other people.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. No, but honestly, man, it's like, but I never felt hate or envious of people like that because like that's what the fuck I'm doing for my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, it really is like an honorable thing to be able to set your family up.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
And
a position I can't imagine doing the things that my dad did and being able to pull it together like that. And I mean, what AJ and I did, we're lucky sperms, you know. We came, we
you don't choose your parents,
right?
You know?
We're lucky sperms. At the end of the day, we popped out of the right hole, you know.
Yeah.
We got lucky, and it's.
No pun.
I feel
it's eloquent statements like that that make them
I'm a songwriter of our generation. You know, what can I say? That's why we let him do the public speaking.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
But it's that sort of thing that I can't imagine doing, but pushing forward and adding our touch onto my father's legacy is what's important to me, you know?
It's still his business.
Right. We're just running it.
We are the current gatekeepers of it.
100%.
But it's still his business. I've met people who are second generation family business, and they sit there
and they fucked it up.
Yeah, they fucked it up, or they sit there and they say like, no, they're very insecure about it. They say, no, this is my business, this is mine, and And to me, it's the complete opposite. I couldn't be more proud to be my father's son.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more proud to continue his legacy.
He still gets all the credit for it. You know, everything that we're doing today is just knowledge that was passed on from him. Maybe we've added to it a little bit. Maybe there's certain aspects of the business that we dove into that he didn't dive into so much, that we might learn a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the foundation's all him, you know?
Absolutely.
So
Interesting. Okay. What do you think is the most important thing your father taught you?
The value of a dollar.
Gotcha.
The value of a dollar and the value of yourself.
Mm.
You know what? I'm going to change it up there. Okay. I'm not even, it's not even business related. I think the value of family.
Yep.
Mm.
I think the value of family. That's probably, every morning I woke up, I love you. Every morning, every night before I went to bed, I love you. You know, I think knowing that I had that kind of support, the money comes, the money goes, the money's immaterial, you know?
Yeah.
It's the family that really means the most.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest lesson I ever learned from my father.
I was trying to get the business over.
Yeah.
No.
That aside, in business, I'd say AJ's probably right. Just understanding the value of things.
No, I mean, you know, because I'm pretty hard on, you know, my oldest son is, you know, my second son drives me crazy, but my oldest son is old enough to kind of comprehend what I'm saying things and being hard on him. I even saw in the film, you scream at me sometimes, right? But no, every night, whether I'm yelling at him, I love you, you know, it might be something stern that I say to him, but it's I never want my kids not to know that they're loved.
100%. 100%.
You know?
That's important.
So, so some people would say, right, don't go into business with your family, right? And so family and friends, right?
Yeah.
So you guys didn't have a choice because you're both offspring. So tell me about
He's yet to be proven.
Tell me about your biggest point of contention in the business, if you can think of a moment.
You know, we've had this discussion a lot because we actually it's interesting. We do really well together, and a lot of it basically boils down to that first little while we sat down, we wrote out, and with the help of our uncle, who was sort of guiding us at the time after my father passed away, and has guided us since then, has been incredible to us.
That's good.
But we sat down at the time, we wrote out a plan.
Okay.
And we got that plan in place, and it's just sort of, okay, you know what? Every decision we make, does this fit our plan? And if the answer is yes, go to the next step. If the answer is no, that's great. That opportunity is not for us. We're going to skip that one and move on to the next.
Gotcha. Okay.
We also recognize, much like Liam Neeson, we each have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
No.
And we know the end goal is the same. So when Josh makes a decision, I trust his decision. When I make a decision, I hope he trusts my decision.
Yeah.
And there's times that we might question the other one. We'll sit down and have a conversation about it. And you know what? If one of us agrees and the other one disagrees, it's just a conversation. Usually he's right. So we just go with that.
Well, I think Amazon has a core value. It's disagree but commit. Right. So you may disagree with someone, but like just commit to the process. Like you're saying, you guys trust each other to make that. You're making a decision that you feel is best for the business. Right. So you're trusting that, okay, you're not making this decision because you think there's going to be a detriment. Right. So
there was only like one fight. Not even a fight, just an argument that I remember us having. Yeah. And
one?
There was just one. Yeah. That's the only one that I can that's the only one I can remember us having. And and I had gotten a call that there was a couple properties for sale. And anyway, they were one of the greatest locations.
Okay.
But they were questionable properties, and there were some questionable tenants in there, and it was a little bit of a management nightmare to take over. But I knew there was money there, and I remember saying to AJ, "We need to look at this. We need to look at this. We need to look at this." And at the time, he was in the office and he was going through water bills. He's going through water bills for all the other properties, trying to figure out, maybe we put in some low flow shower heads, this and that.
Water's expensive.
Water's expensive, man. Water's expensive. So he's going over this. He's going over this, and I'm sitting there saying, like, we need to get on this. We need to like take a look at this seriously. And I said, I've already done my work on it. I need you to do your work, and we can line this up together. And in the meantime, he's still playing around with water bills. So I'd gone into the office, and he's saying, Josh, like, I don't need this sort of nightmare on my hands right now. And I'm sitting there saying, like, no, we need this kind of nightmare on our hands right now. So anyway, he's going over that, and I took the water bills, I wiped them off the desk. I said, pay attention to this right now. And I walked out of the office. A few hours later, he came home, and we're sort of discussing it at the time. He said, yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of money on the line here. Let's see if we can make this happen. And that was really, I'd say, the last time we ever...
that was the last time you were right.
Yeah. The last time I was right. Usually we just compromise and he gets his way,
Oh, my God.
It's a lot like a marriage.
Okay. So, obviously, he's still looking through water bills.
Yeah.
Right? I would consider Josh to be AJ to be a pretty frugal person.
Yeah.
So, tell me the one thing... And you guys can each answer this. What's one thing that you splurge on and one thing that you're consciously frugal about?
Cars.
Yeah. That's probably it. Yeah.
Do you want to tell your story about when you went in to buy the Porsche and the sales guy didn't think you had any fucking money?
To be fair, that's about 90% of the dealerships we walk into.
I'll save that for episode 7.
That's about 90% of the dealerships we walk into.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything else that you're like price doesn't matter sometimes, and you're just like, I'll do that.
You know what?
When it comes to like comfort or something like that,
You know what?
You're a little more frugal on it than I am. But like when it comes to my comfort or something that I want, I sort of sit there and say, screw it. I'm just going to.
I don't really have the ability to look at anything and sit there and say, I don't care what it costs. I just want it. It's just not the way I'm programmed. Anything I look at, I'm looking at the value.
Value it. Yep.
So actually, I was having this conversation with Kyle, the other day. And it's, when I buy a car, I'm not buying the car. When I buy a boat, I'm not buying the boat. If I buy a building, I'm not buying the building. I'm buying value. So if I can buy this bottle of water for 50 cents, as long as I can resell it for $1,
that's bullshit. I'm buying the fucking water. I'm gonna kill every ounce of value because I'm gonna drink that fucking thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man. No. I mean, but that's important though, man. Like I think, as I've started to do better, right? Like I've lifted the constraints a little bit, but like, dude, when I was like hardcore, man, it was like any subscription canceled, canceled. Like I'm looking at the nitty gritties, but that's what it takes. You have to develop those muscles in your mind so that when you do go to make purchases and whatnot, you're thinking of everything that is at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everything comes at a cost.
100%.
Exactly.
If God forbid shit goes south and you need to get out of this, what's my downside? What's my fire sale number, So, and I'd say that we try to stick to that philosophy that basically, like, if God forbid there was ever a problem, are we getting out of this for what we're into it, or for at least
what's the value of what I just bought?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what would you say? Like, where do you feel that you got you guys' work ethic from? Is there anything that you can point to that your parents did, or
I think my parents did a great job of showing us a lot in the world, just in general. We did a lot of traveling growing up.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was necessary. Sorry, I don't know that it was necessarily a learned work ethic, because, like I said, we missed the first part of the movie, which was really where I think a lot of
that's where the grit,
where the real hard work and, like you said, sacrifice came into it. I think what we got it from was kind of seeing the world and seeing what's out there and seeing the low end, seeing the high ends, and just deciding that certain things that we want, certain ways we want to live, certain comforts we want to have, and what are we willing to do? What are we willing to sacrifice to get to that point? And basically, like, right now, we're still in the first half of our movie,
Yeah.
And by the time that I've got kids with my wife, or the time that he's got kids with hopefully his future wife, he'll
single.
So by the time he's there, we'll be able to be in the second half of our movies.
Yeah.
And be able to give our kids and our families the same sort of lifestyle that my dad gave us.
I remember being 7 or 8 years old, and there was a new Fast and Furious video game for PlayStation. Not like PS2 or PS3, like it was PlayStation.
Yeah, the original, the gray one.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted it. And I went to my dad. I said, "Can I have this game?" And he said, "How much is it?" I said, $50. He goes, "Do you have $50?" I said, "No." He goes, "Then you can't have the game." And I said, "Okay, well, how do I get $50? Because I want the game."
Yeah.
So I asked him, "What can I do around the house to be able to earn $50? So I was doing chores, taking out the garbage and that sort of thing. And when I finally got to a point where I had $50, he said, "All right, do you want me to take you to go get that game?" I said, "No."
Nope.
He goes,
it's a lot different when it's your own,
He goes, well, why not? I said, well,
now
I know what it took to get that $50.
Yeah.
I don't really want the game that badly.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. I mean, I told you guys a story about Brian when he was in the toy store and he's like, "Hey, can I get this toy?"
Yeah.
It was like $70. I was like, "Yeah, it's $70. Do you have the money?" He's like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, I was like, "It's $70 though, Brian."
It's real easy to spend it when it's daddy's money.
And then he grabs this little toy. He's like, "Well, how much is this one?" I said, "Well, that's $10.
Yeah.
He's like, "Huh." I think I'm gonna get the $10 one
Yep,
because I can
exactly.
even get one for my brother too.
100%.
Yep.
And now he's $50
I
in
love,
the
I love
positive.
that. I love that.
And so when that happened, I mean, dude, that was a proud moment for
Of
me.
course.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right, obviously the things that I'm trying to instill in him are computing,
Mhm.
to some degree. So, man, that's amazing. So, what pitfalls do you feel that many people, the average person, go through that prohibit them from living a life of comfort, so to speak?
Interesting question.
Mm.
I think the idea of people wanting satisfaction immediately, gratification, that instant gratification,
Yeah.
I think prevents a lot of people from being able to get ahead.
Yeah.
The term YOLO, everyone says YOLO.
YOLO!
You know something dumb's about to happen when someone says YOLO. and I'm guilty of that shit too. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But I think basically, like, again, that sacrifice of having that control to sit there and say, you know what, I if I don't buy this Corvette today, I'll be able to have multiple Corvettes or something better later on in the future.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. That is the decision, I think, that, like I said, sort of shaped my father's life.
Yeah.
I think that decision, a lot of people have that, and sometimes they're not necessarily a Corvette. Sometimes it's something stupid like going out to dinner that week.
Yeah.
And maybe instead of spending $150 on a dinner, maybe you can take that $150 and just stick it in the bank.
Hell,
Even if you don't spend it, just because you have it doesn't mean you need to spend it.
To that point, though, I think a lot of people just don't understand money. I think a lot of people sit there, they don't understand finances, they don't understand money.
Mm-hmm.
So when we don't understand things, we tend to just hide from them rather than learning about them. So I think a lot of people, they don't understand their finances and say, well, I have $100, I'll spend $150 on this because I want it. So it sort of dovetails with what you were saying there. But it's very easy to sit here and say, well, just save that money.
Yeah.
But they don't understand the concept of saving, or they can't mentally get themselves to a point.
Right.
Because the credit card bills keep coming in, or the plumbing bills keep coming in, or the mortgage keeps coming in, or rent, or whatever.
Yeah.
They can't get themselves to a point where they can even get to that.
Right.
So it starts off with having a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have that plan and that understanding of finances.
Yeah.
And it's really not difficult. It's money in, it's money out.
Yep.
You make $10. If you spend 20,
you're
negative.
Right. Like we discussed before, actually, before we got the camera rolling there, we started talking about it a little bit. And it's, a lot of people go to the gym, a lot of people watch what they eat and are conscious of their diets and that sort of, obviously, like I'm prime example of that. But they watch that and they're so good at managing their calories in, calories out, that sort of thing. Yeah. It's the same thing with budgeting,
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's just calories in, calories out. You watch the money that comes in and you watch the money that goes out, and you want to make sure that as long as you've got more coming in than you've got going out, then you can slowly grow to that point. Wealth isn't the type of thing that's built in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. No, it's slow and steady.
We also live in a world of monthly payments.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that's the thing. Monthly. So that's where people get especially in cars.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah. I bought a shirt the other day online, and it popped up. Would you like to make
finance?
Yeah.
For like $3. Like, yo, if you need to finance this.
It was like a $20. It was like a $20 T-shirt. It was like, would you like to make 4 payments of $5? And it's like, I kind of do.
That is hilarious.
But so we live in this world where, okay, I can't afford $20 for the T-shirt. Yeah. I can afford $5 a month.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Do not finance that shirt for $5 a month over 4 months. Yes, I understand it's effectively interest-free financing, whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
That's just out of principle.
Yeah.
That's how you get. Yeah.
You get yourself in trouble that way.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, it's not a $20 T-shirt. It's a $200 TV, and then it's a $2,000 this, and then
you go into the car dealership, and they sit there and say, well, you've got this car, but you want to upgrade to this one. It's only an extra $300 a month.
Yeah. Well,
why do you need to upgrade? First of all, why do you need to upgrade? Second of all, like,
yeah. Well, I've tried to, my beauty, the newer body style Cadillac Escalade.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's gorgeous.
I sit
It's
there and
gorgeous.
I'm like, okay, it's gorgeous,
Yeah,
right?
it's
But then you start looking at the numbers. I'm like, okay, I can't rationalize $110,000.
Right.
I can't I'm like, I work from home.
Yeah.
What the hell do I need this? You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure Brian will think it's cool.
yeah.
Go for the long wheelbase Airbnb it out.
Yeah.
Well, the GM's like, well, it's going to look great sitting in your driveway. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, but the biggest thing I learned, I mean, because I used to, be in car sales and whatnot. And that's how they would get people is, hey, somebody comes in, I want my payment to be $400 a month. Yeah. So you show them the base model, power windows, power doors, and all that. And it's, I love it. Oh, if I can get this for $400 a month, you're in.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they just tacked on 12 months to your payment.
Exactly.
But it's under 400, right? So the biggest thing I advise people is when you do go into the dealership, it's like, I don't want to hear about the monthly payments. What's the price of the vehicle?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because that is where you can get to what the payments is. I don't care about all this other stuff. What's the price of the vehicle?
Right.
Because that's what I'm going to be paying.
I was in a car dealership once, and I dealt with the salesman a few times before, and he looked at me. He goes, "I don't understand." He goes, "You can afford this car."
Yeah.
He goes, "Do you want the car?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You can afford it." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Why don't you buy it?" I said, "Because I don't need it."
Mm.
He goes, "Well, like, don't you picture yourself driving down the street in this and all the salesman techniques?"
He's trying to get you giddy.
Yeah.
I said, "No, I picture myself paying for it.
Mm.
And once I pay for it, then I'll create all those great images in my head.
Yeah.
But first I got to pay for it."
Man, it's crazy because so like you obviously have the means to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So dude, at what point in your life is there certain goals or things that you guys say, hey, I want to hit this before I treat myself to this? Like what is it, or when do you give yourself permission to kind of, let loose and kind of make that decision?
I think we say things at times. Yeah, and
Okay.
I could sit there and give you an answer to that question and say, well, you know what, we've got a couple buildings under construction here. And once those buildings get done, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm never gonna fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'm always like, we're cut from the same cloth here. We're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. We know because we've already set those goals before, and we've met some of those goals,
Mm-hmm.
and we still sit there and say, you know what, like, that seems pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes we do it, but it's
Most
times. But a lot of times we sit there and we'll still sit there and beat it up in our heads a little bit and.
So do you guys run your financial decisions by each other?
Always. Yeah.
How has that changed since you've been married now?
We're not married.
Yeah. I think that's illegal in Florida.
Oh, God. I'm done. Oh, Lord. No, but has that changed at all? I mean,
a little bit. There's little things that here and there, but for the most part, like, it's pretty easy. Again, like, we're pretty respectful of one another. Like,
yeah. I just think that, man, I just talk about just because the thing you said about like understanding money, right? I think one of the biggest epiphanies I had was when you sat me down that one day and you were like, hey, how much does it cost to go out? I'm like, oh, $100. And it's like, let's say you took that $100 and instead of going out once a month, you put it into this. And you start doing the calculator. Oh, and at 60, you be at one point that I'm like, huh?
Yeah. The beauty of compound interest
I'm just sitting there like mind blown.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, because people want it tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like you were saying, but just
people want it
learning
yesterday.
Yeah. Something simple like that. It's like everybody has the means to actually become a millionaire.
I find it very ironic that people in their 20s are out partying, having fun, spending money like it's going out of style. Mm-hmm. And in their 60s, they're working.
Yeah.
Mm.
I understand you're physically more capable, whatever, in your 20s, whatever.
Yeah.
You put your money to work for you in your 20s,
Mm-hmm.
you will very much enjoy your 60s.
Yeah. I mean, just a Roth IRA is something that I just never learned about. And then, like, kids 18, I'm like, first, start contributing.
Absolutely.
I mean, time is on your side at that point in time. So, but I think the instant gratification has really been the social media era.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say that's a net negative.
That's a real dangerous rabbit hole to go down.
It is.
Because you start looking at other people and comparing your life to their lives, and the thing is again, like, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff through this interview that I learned from my father.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is don't believe everything you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's there's a lot of there's more of that out there right now than ever before.
The shadow games.
Always.
There's people with $50,000 in credit cards that they just rolled over to 0% interest cards.
It's smoke and mirrors, you know?
Yeah. No.
And
but
go
ahead.
Going down that rabbit hole on especially on Instagram, you know, you start seeing purses, you see jewelry, you see houses, you see cars, you see boats.
You got a weird algorithm.
Yeah, I like that shit. It's my thing.
I'm dead.
So you see all that sort of stuff on there, and it's like, how are these people doing that? You know, and a lot of it's funded through shady shit maybe, but it's out there to encourage you to go out there and buy that. You know, it's being pushed by advertisers. Or
I watched that documentary on Netflix the other day.
How to Get Rich.
No, I was watching that one too, but I watched what's the social media one?
A Social Network.
The documentary.
Isn't it The Social Network?
No, that's the one about Facebook. But there's
I think I know what you're talking about.
Social experiment. Yeah. So I'm watching that, and they said a line in there, and it seems so obvious, but until I heard it, it never really clicked. And it said, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yeah.
When was the last time you paid for Instagram?
Yeah. Woo. You want that little blue check mark next to your name?
When was the last time you paid for Snapchat? You're not paying for the product. You are the product.
Yeah.
Advertisers use these platforms to access you.
Damn.
And when I started seeing I deleted most social media off my phone a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like the impact it was having on my life. I wasn't gaining anything positive out of it. So I said, why am I using this?
Yeah.
And I recognized it was an addiction. I said, I don't want to be addicted to something that's not contributing positively to my life. So I deleted it off my phone. But then once I started looking into it further and realizing, okay, I'm a product. I said, I get it from an advertising standpoint, but I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I think social media is having some positive impacts on society.
Yeah.
But I think it's having a lot of negative
Yeah.
impacts.
I'd say it's a net negative.
I would agree with that.
I think people see a lifestyle that people are living.
And it cuts down on
suicide rates in teenagers are up significantly.
Cuts down huge on productivity too. I mean, people are addicted to this.
Scrolling.
Right. I mean, I actually, he was the leader in it. He sort of deleted it off his phone, and I did the same thing eventually on mine. Because the thing is like, you know, you're sitting around and maybe you're at dinner or something, and you start scrolling through. Like, why not enjoy the people that you're sitting at dinner with?
What is so important that's on Instagram?
Right.
That you need to give up the company that you're with to go concentrate and be shown advertisements.
But let's say you have nothing going on, you know? Why not try to think of something productive as opposed to literally putting your brain to rest, or just to looking at something that's really nobody's business, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people put stuff on there that's just like, I don't really care, you know?
Yeah.
So you're
That's
sitting there,
nice
you put
looking bowl of pasta.
Right. You put your brain on vacation. You're just sort of scrolling through. You're not being productive in any way, shape, manner, or form. You know, I don't know, check the stock market.
Mhm.
Check what the Nasdaq did. I don't know. But there's a million other things that you can do.
I'll take things white people say for
Yeah.
500.
I don't know. Check out the local property market.
Yeah.
You know, there's a million different things that you can do
Yeah.
that are more productive than scrolling through pictures of pasta, you know, or pizzas, you know.
Yeah.
So that's I thought that was a good responsible decision that he had made, and I actually followed him on that one.
No, that's amazing, man.
I still go on Instagram, but
Yeah.
I go on once a week or
Right,
something
you
to
just-
check messages. And
Yeah. No, I mean, it's important though, man. But yeah, it's been a net negative.
yeah,
man.
I agree.
So I do want to discuss one misconception that high earner always equates to high net worth, and it does not.
absolutely not.
Because it doesn't matter if you make 300 grand a year. If you spend 320,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
you still in the whole 20 grand.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think, I always, like when I talk to people, I always get sometimes the impression that it's like, oh, well, you're a high earner or whatnot. And it's like, well, first off, I wasn't always a high earner,
Right.
right? I had to get to here. But once I started managing money correctly
Mhm.
and being intentional about what I wanted out of my life,
Right.
that's when things started to compound. And it's like,
Do you think one is more important than the other? Do you think it's more important to be a high earner or have a high net worth?
oh, high net worth.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's people out there who only make $50,000 a year, but they got 100 grand saved up, which is more than the 70% of Americans.
Absolutely.
That $100,000 allows you those certain comforts in a pinch time.
Yeah.
You know, if
If you're making $500,000 a year, but your net worth is
zero,
negative
you've
$3
got
million.
you've got
Yeah.
nothing.
Now, granted, if you're a high earner, obviously you're going to have a lot more ability to leverage,
Yeah.
Yep.
Things and
Which,
you know,
I mean,
which
which could
ultimately-
be a benefit, but could be a
Could be,
huge
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go down another rabbit hole. That's that could potentially cause problems.
exactly. So it's like, I'll apply for a credit card. We just approved you for $25,000.
You know. Yeah.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Yeah.
It's
almost like they want you to take it,
Yeah,
huh?
It's
yeah.
almost like they make their money by lending you too much
Yeah.
money that you can't afford to pay back.
Right.
Exactly. No, man. So just going back to the business a little bit, how do you guys kind of manage all the properties that are in Canada? How do you kind of manage that from here? How do you split your time? Like,
So we do go back and forth.
okay.
While I'm here, I have an exact duplicate of my office in Halifax set up in my apartment here.
Okay.
I mean, COVID sort of expedited the whole work from home movement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We've had times
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we jump on meetings down here. We jump on meetings down here on Teams or whatever, and people start talking about the weather. Oh yeah, no, it's
before-
miserable rainy day out. You know, it's
Before I jump on a call, I check the weather in Halifax. I mean, I'll meet with people who genuinely have no idea that I'm not in Halifax.
yeah.
Because
Truthfully,
we live in a world today where
Teams is easier.
Yeah.
Going to somebody's office, taking the time. You know, like you cut an hour out of a meeting just by jumping on directly from your office or from home or wherever you happen to be, just by being able to do that virtual meeting. You cut an hour out of your day, which again adds to productivity.
Well, so is most of the workload you guys have, is most of the workload expanding, or is most of the workload like maintaining what you guys have now? Like what takes the most amount of your time up right now?
So what takes the most amount of my time is a combination of expansion and day-to-day operations.
Okay.
We have an amazing team in place back in Halifax, and thankfully they take a lot of the weight off of our shoulders.
Yeah.
But
Again, one of those invaluable things that my father left us with
Mm.
is just the infrastructure and the team in place. That's just been. I mean, they're
invaluable.
They're incredible. They're
Interesting.
they're
Yeah.
phenomenal. They take things more personally than we do, and whether it's not, I wouldn't even call it a business thing. They look out for AJ and I personally, as opposed to looking out for the business,
Mm.
which is a nice.
You can have the greatest business in the world if you don't have the right people around you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. And we are very fortunate to have a team of amazing people.
Yeah.
So that helps us out significantly. But back to your question there. Most of my time is taken up with day-to-day and expansion. Most of Josh's time is taken up with construction. So the way we grow our company is either through buying new buildings or building new buildings. So buying sort of comes down to both of us. Building really comes down more so to Josh. And keeping those buildings running more so comes to me.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say if you guys could say that you have a superpower, right? Which one?
I would fly.
Yeah. No. Not
You
what
do fly.
Not what power would you have? What power do you have? If you were to say, like, this is my area of expertise in the business, and then Josh, what area of expertise would you say?
That's a good question. Definitely makes you think a little bit.
I'd say logic and rationale for me. To be able to look at a complex situation, break it down to its simplest form, and find a solution for it.
Yeah,
would probably be my.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Would you say Josh is more impulsive?
Yeah, I'm 100% more impulsive, but that has nothing. That has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, that's the word.
I used to call him easy money. I would personal train him. He'd be dying in like 10 minutes. I'm like, easy money. Easy money. So the sales guy probably gets Josh. He's like, yeah, can't you imagine yourself in this nice new Porsche? And Josh like, you know what?
I could use a new car.
Oh God. Nah, but what would you say your superpower is, Josh?
Interesting. I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've got a pretty damn good ability to throw numbers on things that, without looking at anything off the bat, I can usually get
a gut instinct
for value.
Yeah.
You know.
So are like if there was a house on Zillow right now, you're kind of good at seeing, okay, area.
Yeah, I mean, these days it's fucking impossible because everybody bought like a year ago. They want $1 million more for it. So it's tough to do it. For me, houses are questionable again, depending on.
Yeah, I'd say that's more expertise though.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've been doing it since I was 12. You know,
but again, that's expertise. It's not necessarily a
fair.
superpower.
It's something that I've paid attention. But even even when we're budgeting for something, for a project or something, like my numbers all tend to come. Like we'll take a walk through something.
The end number is correct.
The end number is always correct. You know, and how we get there might be a little bumpy, but we'll take a walk through something. I'll sit there and say, okay, yeah, you know what, this is the number that of overall what I anticipate this being, and then maybe the plumbing is $10,000 off in either direction or whatever.
Yeah.
But that by and large number at the end is usually pretty dead on. So
I'm curious now, man, because obviously you guys have built I would call you real estate moguls of Canada.
I appreciate that. I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
We're pikers, but we're pikers. We get by, but we're. I appreciate the compliment.
You get by.
Yeah.
Yes, you get by. When is enough?
Funny enough, it's been a conversation, topic of conversation quite recently.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone struggles, especially if you're just ambitious and competitive.
Like we discussed earlier. You know, we saw the first half of the movie. We saw the second half of the movie with my dad.
Yeah.
And we've been in the first half of our movie for the last number of years here, and I think we're slowly getting to that point where we're starting to wind the movie down, or starting to wind the first half down.
Yeah.
We've got a couple things left that we want to accomplish, and a few things still to go, and still obviously have some stuff to prove to ourselves. But I think we're slowly getting towards the point where we're going to start entering the second half of our movie, and just start to enjoy our lives, enjoy our family. Not that we're not enjoying life now,
a little bit more.
Enjoying our families and that sort of thing, you know. So we feel we put a pretty good dent on the on our legacy and built on my father's a little bit. So I think we're getting to that point. We're not quite there yet.
Okay.
But it's entered the conversation.
Okay. Are you guys looking to adopt a 35-year-old 6'1"?
Always.
No, man. So here's an interesting question. This one's a curveball for you, but I'm curious to what you would say if we took away every property that you own today and you started back at nothing. What would you do? Like if you wanted to get to where you are or give something to you, what would you do?
So actually, I was talking to my nephew about this the other day, and there are so many opportunities out there right now.
Oh yeah,
you can. I mean, just to make money. Yeah. I'm not talking about being super successful, whatever. Just to make money. And I've had people ask me before, like, what's the secret to success? And I mean.
We were out on the boat a few weeks ago, and somebody came over. We were docking, and somebody came over and asked the question, "How do I get a boat like this?" And AJ gave him an answer that I thought was actually brilliant.
My answer to him was, find something that you're absolutely passionate about. Make sure you're absolutely in love with it.
Obsess over it, and then do
it better than anyone else.
Yeah. Because if you
bro.
But the thing is that if you find that thing that you absolutely love, the sense of obsessing over it totally disappears. It's natural, you know. Yeah. When I was, I don't remember how old I was. I remember being really young and realizing what my dad did for a living. And as I got older, every time I learned more about what he was doing in business or what he was doing for work.
Yeah.
I kept saying, like, I really love this idea of this business, you know, and so for as far back as I can remember, this is the business that I always wanted to be in. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And again, the first half of our movie has been me obsessing over different things, but to me, it's not obsession. You know, as we get to this point, like I said, that obsession is definitely slowed down a little bit as priorities change, as things change.
But to go back to the question.
Yeah.
I would find some way to earn money to get back into this business.
Yeah.
Be it sales, be it driving Uber, be it what DoorDash, whatever.
Find that obsession, you know.
You're just listing all my pastimes.
Yes.
Oh man.
I would do what you have to do. Make those sacrifices. Yeah. Make more than you spend, and get to a point where I can get back into this business, because I do love this business most of the time.
Yeah.
Never be above anything, man.
No.
Dude,
you again. You know what? I go back to basics. If I had to start over with absolutely nothing, we're going back to basics. We're gonna scrap. We're gonna do everything that we got to do to get by, to make sure that by the time my kids sit down at the dinner table, there's food on their plate.
So I'll tell you a funny story. Josh and I had a building that we were wrapping up construction on, and the first tenants were moving in on September 1st, and we got to it was like August 28th or something, and the water commission came out to hook up the water to the building, and they said, "Where's your main shutoff in the driveway?" Well, the driveway wasn't even poured at this point. So we said, well, we know it's somewhere in this general area, but we're not sure where.
Yeah, through construction, it had managed to get buried over, so we couldn't find it.
It got buried in dirt and rocks and everything. So we knew the general area it was in.
And the thing is that if the inspector was there on the site trying to find it, and he's not going to stick around all day, you know, and obviously we don't have the time to let him get away. Yeah. If he leaves, he ain't coming back until after there's tenants there.
Yeah. If he leaves, these people are moving into this place without water. So Josh and I just sort of looked at each other. We both, I don't even think we grabbed shovels. I think we just grabbed anything we could
Yeah, we
on
just started
site.
digging.
And we started digging up that driveway as best as we could.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You
And
do what you got to do, you know?
and
Like
the guy started walking to his truck. He said, "Nope,
no, you stay here.
you stay here for another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll find it. We'll find it."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he goes, "I'm gonna go wait in my truck." I said, "You can wait in your truck, but you're not leaving."
Yeah.
It's okay.
Man.
So he stuck around. We found it, and we had water there. But you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's not exactly difficult work. But
It's just
It was-
It's just jumping in when you got to jump in. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm sitting there. I'm fresh out of the office. Like I don't care. Those are clothes. You know, they'll wash up.
Well,
But at
mhm.
the end of the day, I got people that are
we have-
intending to move into a building with running water in 2 days' time.
That's the difference between a leader and a manager.
Yeah.
You're
And-
just looking for people to
Right.
No, leader, you get down there and you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You get your hands dirty. So that's what it takes.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think like someone asked you that when you were on your boat, and I think most people in you guys' position really want to see that grit in somebody that's like willing to, get out there and want to do it, man.
Yeah.
And I think, and you guys have always been gracious enough to bless me with information, and but I've never had a big enough ego to not say like, well, shit, you guys know something that I don't know. Like I'm gonna ask the question,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna try to learn as much information as I can because that's what we're all here to do.
Absolutely.
People have asked me before, like, what do you know that I don't? And there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there that I know that nobody
Yeah.
else knows, or that nobody else can learn, you know?
Yeah.
It's the information. We live in an era where the information is
It's
right
right
at our fingertips,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know, at this particular moment in time, I can honestly say I don't know how to get to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
But listen,
That way.
it's that way. They've done it before, and the information's out there.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to get to the moon badly enough, I can figure it out.
Yeah.
So
So my last question for you, man. My channel is all about accountability.
Mhm.
My name is Accountability B.
Mhm.
What's the word accountability mean to you, and how can someone apply it in their life to get to where you guys are today?
Take responsibility for your own actions.
100%, 100%.
That's it.
That's probably one of the most important things.
If you fuck up,
The best thing
fuck
you
up.
can.
It's
The best thing
not,
you
it's not a
can
big
do,
deal. You need to find a solution for it.
I think it shows character. I think it shows everything in the world, and I have
Yeah.
no problem. I have no issue if you come to me and you say, "Listen, I fucked up. This is what happened, and this is how I want to fix it."
Yeah.
I do not care that you fucked up.
Yeah.
The fact that you're coming to me and you're telling me you fucked up, and the fact that you've got a plan to get back to
To get the situation unfucked.
right, to get the situation unfucked. That tells me everything that I need to know about you.
Or even if you don't have a plan to unfuck the situation,
Tell me that you fucked up. We'll work on it
Yeah.
together. You know.
Exactly.
Don't tell me it's Susie's fault. Don't
Right.
tell me
And
it's
I don't
Jerry's
want. I
fault.
don't want to. I don't want to hear the
wanna
excuses. I don't want to hear the excuses.
No, it's crazy. I was talking to my friend yesterday, and I was talking about how when I was on a PIP at my job,
Mhm.
a performance improvement plan. I
Mhm.
don't know if you guys have ever had a job, but
I'm sorry. I thought you said when you had your pimp job.
No, man. I mean, I was the only black, business development manager, right? And I could have easily been like, well, I'm on a PIP because he's singling me out,
Mhm.
this, that, and the third. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing my fucking work.
Yeah.
I'm not doing what I need to do.
hmm
I've got an interesting question for you, and if it's not appropriate for this,
No,
just
no,
cut,
yeah.
just cut it. Do you think being black has had an impact on your career? Be it positive, be it negative.
Huh. I think I don't think it's had a negative impact. I believe it may have even had a positive impact because I think when I speak and I articulate myself, and maybe people haven't interacted with a lot of black people and all they see is maybe what's on the news
Yeah.
or somewhere else or social media.
Yeah.
That they're maybe a little bit more enamored with me because I'm bringing a certain skill set and whatnot that maybe they're not used to seeing people of my complexion in their everyday life.
Yeah.
They see.
But when you show up you provide value.
Absolutely.
And it,
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I always say it's like, how much value can you provide someone?
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what you are.
Yeah.
That's 100% it.
Yeah.
If you can get the job done,
That's all it is.
Anyone who sits there and says racism doesn't exist is full of shit. It exists. It's
Yeah.
out there. There are people who are just pieces of shit and are gonna
absolutely.
they're gonna hate you for being black. They're gonna hate me for being Jewish.
Assholes exist in every race, religion,
They do.
creed, you name it.
Exactly.
They're just assholes, you know?
Mhm.
But the thing is that not letting them run
Well, that's the
your
thing.
life. You know?
Control with you can control.
Right, exactly.
I can't control the asshole that thinks that I'm the N-word riding the nice car, right?
100%.
I can't control that.
No.
What I can control is how I react to that and
100%.
how I'm not letting him affect my life.
You know
exactly.
what?
Our parents always taught us growing up, there will be people who hate you because you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Just do better.
It says more about them than it does about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Just rise above.
yeah.
Mm.
And you might find this hard to believe. I've never actually been black.
Really?
But I have to assume the same principle applies.
No. Man, so I didn't even get to ask you that. Like, would you say your faith plays into, you know, your goals or like the discipline that you have?
I'd say the culture of Judaism
Okay.
has certainly helped. We're not overly religious,
Okay.
but I'd say the overall Jewish culture
Yeah.
has certainly helped us in our business.
There's been certain times when I'm worn down or I'm sort of beaten. I feel like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I'm not in the mood to do this. Something like that. And there's my grandfather escaped Nazi Germany.
Jesus.
And came here and built a life for himself. And I don't know, he never really talked about it, and I don't really know what he went through over there.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of the Jewish people had gone through over there.
Yeah.
But you hear some of the stories that people do tell, and you sit there and say, like, these people
I'm complaining about traffic.
Yeah, these people escaped that and then went on to do this. Like, I don't care if you built a multi-billion-dollar business or if you just provided food for your family to eat. To be able to come through that and succeed and it takes away every reason for me to complain that, oh, you know what, I don't feel like doing that today. You know what, just get it done.
Yeah.
So that's sort of that's to me, that's played into account a lot of times, and I'd say that's probably one of the things that
absolutely.
Well, I look at the generation now. I mean, I think we're getting a little softer.
A little too soft.
A little softer. I mean, you look at, you know, things just back at the
makes it a lot easier for the ones who are still hard.
I mean, you know, but dude, like, even like looking at the civil rights era where, you know, people were being unfairly treated for riding the bus, and so what black people did is say, you know what, F this, I'm gonna walk.
Right.
I'm gonna take some money away from it. But nowadays it seems like people just aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good.
Well,
and that is something that we've lost in this society.
As a society, I mean, the protests that you saw during the civil rights movement, they were for a good cause.
Mm-hmm.
These, I can't speak for everyone, but most people, you get the impression, were there because there was a genuine wrong, and they felt it was wrong, and they wanted to see change.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like today we live in a society where, going back to social media, okay, I think this is wrong. I want to be able to post about it, that I was at that march or I was at this on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call it virtue signaling or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like that passion that people had is not there anymore. The passion is to be able to show other people.
Or it just takes away from it. It becomes like the boy who cried wolf a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I think social media sometimes they need that engagement and clicks.
Yeah.
So they find boogeyman.
Right.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
They stir the shit pot.
But just like you said, we know this shit. We know shit. Racism
Yeah,
exists. We know all these things
100%.
exist.
And
But-
no matter how much you march,
You're not going to change it.
it's not
Yeah.
going to go
You're
away.
not going to change it.
But what you can change is how you react and how
Absolutely.
you
What
you do in that situation.
that single-handedly defines, I think, the successful person versus the non-successful person.
Ugh.
Realizing and accepting. Obviously, accepting to an extent. If somebody comes up to me and calls me a fucking kike, I'm gonna knock him in the face. You know, I'm not accepting that. But at the same time,
I believe there are no such thing as bad words.
Mm.
It's who says it and how it's said. And I've said this forever. If you walk up to me, I've known you forever, and you go, "What's up, you Jew?"
yeah. We're gonna laugh about it. You know,
we're gonna laugh.
We're gonna laugh
because
about it.
I know it's not said from a place of anger. I know it's not said from a place of hatred. It's just us being friends, having fun.
Context matters.
100%.
Yes.
Exactly. If a random person walks up to me on the street and goes, "What's up, you Jew?" That's a different story.
Right.
But it was the exact same words.
Yeah.
It's just who says it and how it's said.
Yep.
The words themselves are not inherently bad. It's how they're used and who is using them.
Yeah.
Mm. For example, first time I was on Josh's and AJ's boat. I think you know where I'm going. AJ asked, "Can you swim?"
Hey man, that's just liability.
No, guys. Honestly, I appreciate you taking the time.
I appreciate
man.
you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
You guys are an inspiration to myself, other people out there. I think, I think you added a lot of value today, just in your upbringing and what you've learned since, your father's passing and just, getting through that time too. I mean, we really didn't dive into that, but, you guys lost your pops at an early age. So I know that couldn't have been easy. But no, man, I appreciate everything you guys, the value you've given me, the advice you've given me.
And
man.
again, I said it at the beginning. I'll say it again now, Brian. We're so proud of what you've done, what you've built. It's really like it brings us a lot of joy and a lot of pride to see the way that you've come from that night at dinner to today, and the way that your beautiful family's grown. And the way that you're raising your kids is just it really is admirable.
The success in the family that you and Jen have created is amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I mean what I say, and I told you guys that day. I said,
"You're gonna do it."
I'm gonna
do it.
it.
I remember that.
I'm gonna do it.
I remember that.
And so I'm in the stage of my movie, man.
Yeah,
I'm still creating it.
You've done it, and you're continuing to do it.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Go ahead, subscribe, like on the movie if you want to hear more content like this. And I will be back here on the next one. This was one of my funnest interviews, but I'll be back for some more. Take care.